The lack of U.S. government IoT policy is gradually being filled by industry here in the United States. In the meantime, America is about to fall into fourth place behind South Korea in terms of technology leadership. Stay tuned for more information on IoT in America, which will include an interview with the Industrial Internet Consortium, whose founding members include Bosch, GE, AT&T, IBM, Cisco, and Intel.
This episode of IoT Innovation is sponsored by Anritsu.
Today's episode is brought to you by Telecom Careers, the #1 global telecom and wireless job board, telecomcareers.net.
America last. That was a headline of a recent article posted a few months ago in Politico by Kevin Ashton. Kevin Ashton, as you may recall, coined the term IoT while working at Procter & Gamble before founding the RFID department at MIT. His post was part of a series Politico published called The Internet of What, which went on to describe how woefully behind U.S. politicians are in understanding the implications of IoT, much less taking steps to implement a cohesive strategy to keep the U.S. at the forefront of innovation and technology. Kevin's article included a chart from the World Bank that clearly demonstrates America's fall from tech leadership, measured by tech exports. China is running away from the pack while U.S. is dropping to fourth or fifth place. For more information, I recommend you check out Politico's Internet of What special report they distributed in July of 2015. On today's IoT Innovation, we're going to provide a summary of findings we uncovered while researching China 2025, Germany's Industry 4.0 initiative, and EU's Horizon 2020 program. Then we're going to take a look at a series of clips from the interview with Kathy Walsh from the Industrial Internet Consortium. Let's get started with government-sponsored R&D by the numbers. China has a population of 1.3 billion people. Their gross national product is 10.3 trillion. Over the past couple of weeks, we took a look at Made in China 2025 and China's Internet Plus strategy, where they plan to invest up to $1 trillion in technology. $200 billion alone is going to be spent on broadband networks. The European Union has a population of 503 million, which is the third largest behind China and India. Their gross national product is 18.46 trillion. And last week we took a look at Horizon 2020, which is the European Union's roadmap for investing over $86 billion over 7 years. Several weeks ago, we also looked at Germany. They have a population of 81.7 million. Their gross national product is 3.8 trillion. And their Industry 4.0 initiative plans to spend $215 billion in technology over the next 5 years. And it does roll up into the European Commission's Horizon 2020 program. The United States has a population of 316 million. Our gross national product is the largest in the world at 17.42 trillion. As far as we can tell, we do not have a cohesive IoT or 5G strategy. That being said, there are a couple industry-led initiatives that includes the Industrial Internet Consortium, which is led by GE, Bosch, AT&T, Cisco, and IBM. Today on IoT Innovation, we have a series of 4 interviews with Kathy Walsh. She's the marketing manager for the Industrial Internet Consortium. We're going to look at 4 topics. First, the IoT reference architecture they published earlier this year. Next, a few of their testbed proof of concept programs. Next, we'll look at the future of the Industrial Internet Consortium. And then finally, we'll take a look at how the IIC works with standards and other IoT bodies. Today, we're delighted to have Kathy Walsh, who is marketing manager for the Industrial Internet Consortium. Kathy, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Well, let's start out by talking a little bit about the reference architecture that the IIC released in July. Tell us about this transformational business outcomes you're looking to achieve.
Okay, yes, great. The document that you referenced is our Industrial Internet Reference Architecture, and it is a compilation of many hundreds of hours of work, collaboration between a very large number of members within our organization to provide a reference architecture for the public to use to reference in addressing solutions for the industrial internet and creating secure and interoperable industrial internet systems. It's a document that is we're very proud of because it was a great effort and it shows a lot of insight and innovative thought from our thought leaders within the organization. And it's also an evolving document. With IoT, we're changing every day, and as those changes occur, we need to reevaluate that document and continue to provide the structure and background for companies that are seeking to create a secure industrial internet solution for their organizations.
Well, I'm going to pull up your website, and there's a couple great slides on here that I think are worth talking about. The first one is this, and I think it references the engineering process that really went behind the architecture you're talking about. But you've got a couple buckets here. Can you talk about this slide and tell us how it fits into your overall plan?
Right. We use this slide and this particular diagram many ways because to represent our organization. Because what the IIC is a membership-driven organization. We're a not-for-profit organization comprised of members from large industry, small industry, nonprofits, government organizations, and educational academic research organizations. And so what we do is we provide an ecosystem for all of those different types of organizations to gather, share ideas, collaborate, network, and actually work on true solutions to the challenges of the industrial internet. So when you look back at that diagram, we have three different segments that we stress. One is that we are offering this ecosystem for all of our members, and what comes out of that ecosystem is thought leadership and things like this document that we've created, and it's relationships amongst organizations that may not have already been able to connect, but we offer that platform for them to connect. And then the second piece of it is the technology and security, both of which are working groups underneath the IIC umbrella because they're so important to the industrial internet. There's all kinds of technology innovations that need to be designed, evaluated, and shared amongst our members and throughout the public. And also security is extremely important. There isn't any facet of the industrial internet that doesn't involve security. So we have a group dedicated to coming up with a combined approach to securing the industrial internet. And then lastly, our test beds, very important piece of our whole overall structure. This is where companies within the organization get together and it's sort of a proof of concept type of thing, a place to experiment with the concepts that are evolving in the industrial internet from an interoperability standpoint, from a security standpoint. We create new business models that might need to be tested, and just being able to come up with a good interoperability. These little labs, these little test beds are little incubators of the ideas that are put forth by the rest of the organization.
And we're going to come back and talk about test beds in just a minute, but you mentioned working groups several times, so I'm going to pull up the working group section of your website. Kind of give us a little more information about how these committees are formed and the direction the working groups take.
Sure. We have a steering committee that oversees the whole Industrial Internet Consortium, and within that steering committee, they decide the working groups that underlie and drive the organization. And these listed here are our primary working groups. We have this business solutions enablement, we have a legal, a marketing, a membership, security, technology, and test beds. And some of them are more active than others, but the ones that we've already been talking about, like security and test beds and technology, are extremely active, as well as marketing.
Got it. And I'm going to jump over to the current member slide and tell us about the founding members and kind of where you see the membership growing over time.
Sure. Our founding members listed here, we have 5 of them, and GE was one of the main instigators of this whole Internet Consortium and brought in Intel, IBM, Cisco, and AT&T. The 5 of them together combined to create in March of 2014. So we haven't been around that long, a little over a year and a half. We started out with those 5 members and have grown. Right now we're at about 214 members, and it's a broad group, like I mentioned before, from different industries, small and large, and nonprofit and government. We have very recognizable names. We have a lot of companies throughout the globe. We don't just, we're based in the United States, but our membership is all around the globe. And two other members that I didn't mention previously that were listed on the website, we just recently added, excuse me, we just recently added two contributing members. Those are SAP and Schneider Electric. And those organizations are a big part of our forming the direction for the industrial internet as well.
Now, it's my understanding you're not a standards body, is that correct?
That's correct. And we try to make that clear right up front because many people expect that the standards go hand in hand with the Industrial Internet Consortium. And where we stand is we are evaluating standards that exist and finding the gaps in them through our collaborative work. And then we're in contact and we have liaisons with different standards organizations, including our parent company. And we're in contact with them to provide recommendations for how those standards can be enhanced and improved over the years.
So Kathy, what can you tell us about the Testbed initiative within the Industrial Internet Consortium?
The test beds that we are producing right now are extremely important. They're a pivotal part of our organization. And what we are allowing members to do as part of the test beds is bring their ideas to an area where they can exercise their innovative ideas, test them out. We run through many different evaluations of the test beds. They get to incorporate our best practices from a security standpoint as they go through their tests so that what they can produce at the end is something that might be ready for the market. We're doing it at a small scale in these test beds, but eventually they will expand and grow to be market-ready, large implementations of what you see here. Like right now in terms of the microgrid test bed, that's a test bed that is involved with the energy sector and being tested on a small scale, but will roll out to a much larger scale over time.
Got it. And are these effectively proof of concepts, or are they beyond a proof of concept in terms of a true operating module?
They're beyond a proof of concept. I use that proof of concept term just to kind of get it in somebody's head that this is a small scale evaluation, but these are actually implementing. Some of the energy work that's being done is being implemented by large power companies in the United States and the UK, and they're not just in a lab somewhere. Some of them are, and that's where they may start, but they eventually move into more of a production phase.
Well, we talked a little bit about the microgrid test bed. Any of the other ones on the screen you want to highlight?
Yes, I always like to talk about the track and trace test bed because it has a lot of features to it that are easy to understand from a layman's standpoint. If you're not a technologist, it's still something that's worthwhile. Bosch, Cisco, National Instruments, and Tech Mahindra got together to create this test bed where individual tools that are used on a manufacturing floor become smart tools, and they become extremely valuable in these very important processes. For instance, in this case, they're talking about construction of an aircraft, and that is very important. You need to have your tools be extremely precise in terms of measurement. So what they have done is created tools that are so precise that if the user, the operator of the tool, uses them incorrectly, for instance, if they try to tighten a screw with more torque than is expected, that tool will power down. Mm-hmm. Or if that operator walks away with the tool will power down. So it can't be used in another environment where it's not already assigned. Or if an operator who is not allowed to pick up that tool and use it, picks it up, that tool won't work. And those are the kinds of things that are really helpful in terms of improving obviously the quality of the work that's being done, but they're also gathering all this data on all of these different tools, and that data is being evaluated and used to help maintain the processes, maintain the hardware, anticipate downtime, which is very expensive, so if they can anticipate it and predictively address it ahead of time, that they save money. All these things kind of translate into high efficiency, high productivity, and and revenue generating and cost containment.
So how does a member or how do members come together to create a test bed? How does that process take place?
Well, our working group acts as an advisory group, and we welcome members to join that working group and their discussions and put forth ideas or collaborate, network with other members who might be in the same space, or if there's already a project that's sort of emerging, they can jump in and become part of that test bed as well if they have something to contribute, if it's along the same lines of what they're working with. And then we sort of coach them along the way, and they have plenty of advice and guidance in terms of setting up their test beds. And we do rely on the members themselves to actually take it and move forward with it. We as a consortium aren't doing that. We're offering the guidance and the ecosystem for it. But really the members have all the autonomy to make that test bed work for them.
Kathy, thank you for the overview of the, I guess, the engineering process that the IIC has implemented by way of the this transformational business outcomes. We talked about the test beds and how members can get those test beds to market. Let's talk a little bit about the organization today and where you see it going over the next 12 to 18 months. So where's IIC today?
Well, we are in a constant state of growth, which is wonderful, and we are welcoming new members every week. We recently just had Boeing join us, which is tremendous, and I think different members will offer different characteristics to the Industrial Internet Consortium, and it will change as additional members come. For instance, that particular member joining will help us encourage others in the area of aerospace and aeronautics to come into our consortium. We already have many who are in the turbine business and things like that. So it's an area of very powerful growth, and much of that growth is in anticipation of what is happening, but also things that are actually happening now in terms of the industrial internet. We do find that there are often conversations of, well, I'm listening to this happening, this trend, and I'm watching it, and I'm thinking about what we should do as an organization. Whereas the fact of the matter is that work is actually being done, and we have a number of case studies on our website that show examples of how the industrial internet is affecting companies in a positive way as they design their systems to be secure and interoperable and address these very big challenges associated with trying to connect remote devices, trying to connect remote huge pieces of equipment, trying to bring old equipment up into the more modern times with sensors and be able to connect them to other systems and collect the data that's needed. And the whole business of big data and the analytics that go with it is definitely here, and people recognize that as a challenge and something that needs to be addressed immediately. And we look at it as, and many of our members do too, that this is a disruption to the business model, and you can either be disruptive or be disrupted. And we're obviously on the side of being disruptive. And what we are proposing in terms of the test beds and the approach to security help understand the underlying mechanics of the industrial internet and what needs to be done to grow it, and grow it quickly, because it is going to be rapid growth. I mean, you're probably very familiar with many of the statistics of, like 5 billion connected devices by 2020 and 50 billion connected devices by 2020. And those are the kind of things that people do need to prepare for. And I think as more and more people become aware of how their businesses can actually benefit from adopting industrial internet solutions, they become more and more aware and interested in collaborating with others, because no one company is going to solve the problems of the industrial internet, and collaboration is required even amongst companies who have considered themselves competitive up until now.
So Kathy, you mentioned you're based in the U.S., but you're truly a global organization. Could you talk a bit about how IIC interacts with other maybe government-sponsored IoT organizations, as well as some of the standard bodies that exist globally?
Sure. We have good relationships among many different organizations, including Industry 4.0 over in Germany. We also have a number of liaison organizations that have a formal relationship with us that we work with closely to help promote the same goals. And in many of them, we are all working towards the same goals of promoting the industrial internet and working to help organizations, manufacturing, and vendors to produce rapid industrial internet solutions so that they can benefit from all of the great things that are going on in the industrial internet and bring their companies into a different mindset about how to operate.
Okay, and then I noticed you have some events coming up on your website. What can you tell us about the events?
Yeah, we do. And one of the great collaborative events of our organization is that every quarter we bring the membership together at various locations. Our upcoming event is in La Jolla, in the San Diego area in California in December. And we just got back from Barcelona in September. And it's very exciting meetings because even though a lot of the collaboration happens outside of these meetings for our members, there's nothing like a face-to-face. So we have they're closed meetings, but we do also, in conjunction with any of our member meetings, we also offer a public forum. And the one coming up in December is tagged on the end of our member meeting. So it's actually Thursday the 10th in La Jolla. And what we do is we welcome any organizations or individuals who are interested in learning more about the industrial internet, and they can come to these public forums and get involved with our organization if they're interested, but also just be there for a learning process and understanding what kind of conversations are going on within the Industrial Internet Consortium.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much for your time. Based on the schedule, it looks like you're pretty busy. But again, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to staying in touch over the next 6 to 9 months and learn more about some of these test beds that your members are taking to market.
Thank you very much, Jeff. It was my pleasure.
Thanks for joining us this week, and we look forward to talking to you next week on IoT Innovation.
IoT Innovation is a production of RCR TV. To find out more about IoT innovation and all things wireless, visit rcrwireless.com.